Finally, bulls showed up and pushed Bitcoin price up massively. I was on a flight for only about 1.5 hours, and when I landed, price was up almost $4,000. Absolutely unbelievable. We're going to take a look at the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts right now, as well as all the news driving markets, try to figure out what's coming next. Let's go. What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up, that like button right down below. Now, as I mentioned, there was a lot of fear in the market. We had reached levels of extreme fear on the crypto fear and greed index that we hadn't seen for ages, and they were staying there roughly around 10. Absolutely astounding to see that much fear in the market for that long. Well, what usually happens when there's fear at support? Short squeeze. Price went up thousands of dollars yesterday. Absolutely an astounding move, and you love to see it. So that was a short squeeze. I guess the question becomes, what comes next? So we're going to dig into the charts now and see what we can figure out. First, I am loving this Bitcoin monthly chart. Now, as you can see, we had a bit of an evening star pattern. We can get into debate whether that is one or not. Usually you need gaps for that, and this candle would be a bit smaller. But we had a very clear topping pattern that was coming through in, April and May of this year. Well, we all know what happened next. We had the massive correction from 65,000 down below 29,000. But when you take a look at the monthly, and mind you, there's still 5 days and 11 hours left as I'm recording this in the monthly candle. This could close way further down or way further up. We have no idea where the monthly will close. But what's notable is that we have 3 wicks on 3 consecutive monthly candles for now. And we actually haven't had a monthly candle close before below 35,000. This candle in June closed right around $35,060. That was a high wave spinning top candle. I discussed this when it happened last month. It shows a lot of indecision and a bit of weakness by bears to be able to push price down. Well, every time they've tried to push down now, there's been tremendous demand coming in. As you can see, really, really low volume on this month, but maybe that will pick up coming up. But either way, we have this high wave spinning top here and a potential beautiful hammer candle, which would be a very, very strong sign of reversal, especially when you consider the demand shown by these 3 wicks. Now let's dive in very quickly to the weekly. I've been talking about this quite a lot. We had about 8 candles that refused to close below 34,000, all of these right through here. Well, we had that drop to the 50 MA here on the weekly chart. And then, as I said last week, we had a close right on it. People were saying it was broken. I viewed it as support, and then price started trading down here. People told me it was broken. Well, ultimately, the week closed up over 35,000. As I said, another wick below support on the 50 MA and price closing above. I discussed this ad nauseum. And now we are back and heading up with a potential really nice weekly candle starting. Now, we did have a bit of an uptick in volume last week. The 2 red candles, blue in my case here, were the lower volume candles and sandwiched by 2 slightly higher volume green or gray candles. The weekly here is looking good, but very important to note, we are still ranging. As I've said so many times, we need to really get above 42,000 before we start talking about the really bullish cases. Now let's talk about the daily chart. You know, I've had this blue descending channel drawn on the chart, and I said, yes, it can drop down lower, but this is a technically bullish pattern that should push price up eventually. Well, we have the down, up, up, down here. We flipped the EQ and now pushed to resistance. Once again, we are at resistance of the top of this. I would not be surprised, even with this increase in volume, to see, a bit of consolidation before hopefully a push up above. Right now, this was a technical move, a short squeeze, but it brought us right to a level of resistance, and I'm sure people are going to get exuberant and excited, and listen, it's hard not to. It feels like this could really be a reversal, but we do not have the technical signals yet to confirm that, in my opinion. This is a massive daily candle that we have forming, though, and this is really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive, potentially daily candles in the green or gray on my charts, as you can see. I'm looking for a flip of this channel, test of support, and ultimately a break of 42,000. The reason being that was the top of the pump up from the all-time highs of 20,000. Ultimately a break of that to confirm more bullishness. Let's take a quick look at the 4-hour chart. As you can see, this is what I drew last week on Friday for my newsletter, a potential inverse head and shoulders, and this ascending triangle broke out in absolute style. pushed up, and then we had the huge move up while I was flying right into the bottom of resistance just below 40,000. This blue level has been strong resistance. I'm glad that we're talking about it again because it's been since June 16th since we've been able to talk about this level over a month. But here we are again, once again, pushing into resistance. So be careful here. Maybe we see a drop. What I want to really see here is this 35,949, 36,000 level, the EQ of this channel. See, it's been broken here. We've been below it for a long time. We want to see that hold. So even if price does drop, what I'd be looking for is something like that, right? We want to see that retested. So if you're trading it, this could be a very good area to bid. I will be probably bidding that again myself. Even though you guys know I talked about it, I was buying down here. Price came down here. This is where I've been buying. I started loading up again. I made a whole video saying that for me, it was time to start buying Bitcoin again. So I'm pretty fully loaded at this moment with my position. Ultimately, we need to get above 42 and above this range here to start talking about the super bullish case and a true reversal. For now, we have really nice volume, a nice short squeeze. We want to see now this hold consolidating here for now under resistance and a push up. Let's take a quick look at Ethereum Bitcoin. As you would expect when Bitcoin made a big move, altcoins suffered a bit. Yes, they went up on their USDT pairs. You're looking at your portfolio saying, oh my God, alts did so well. But if Bitcoin's up 15% and your alt is up 7%, you lost Bitcoin. And the whole goal here is to stack sats. But Ethereum bounced nicely, but on that move, it did drop almost to support here. Still, as you can see, Ethereum on the Bitcoin pair is ranging at the top of this massive move that theoretically is bullish, and we should eventually see it break to the upside. But first, we really need to see it flip this EQ 0.067-ish and head back up. Ethereum, in my opinion, still looks incredibly good, but if Bitcoin's going to make a huge move, it will suffer against Bitcoin in the short term, but will continue to rise against USD because Bitcoin is rising. Here's the Ethereum USD chart. Once again, working on a flip of the EQ here too, as well, like around 22.75, but that failed last time with bearish divergence. The difference here, we are extremely overbought, about 78 RSI, but there are no bear divs. This is a really strong move with nothing to confirm that it is a top. So what we'll look for maybe is some sideways action consolidation around here while RSI gets a chance to reset and drop a bit. Price does not have to drop for RSI to drop. Price can consolidate and RSI can drop. So maybe we get a little bull flag, something like that. But Ethereum still looks great here against USD. Everything looking pretty good in the market right now. Time to be cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic, but I am not yet convinced. Let's take a very quick look at all the news that is driving markets today. Nearly 900 million in crypto short positions liquidated as Bitcoin breaks 39,000. Like I said, this was very clearly a short squeeze. Even yesterday, right before the move, I tweeted a few things about negative funding, about retail piling in on shorts, about people being unconvinced. Well, when shorts finally start to pile in, that's when we see a short squeeze. 900 million is a lot of money for a short squeeze, but nothing compared to the nearly 10 billion in longs that were liquidated on the way from 60 down to 50, and then another almost 10 billion from 40 to 30. So this is a very, very small squeeze, but it shows really does not take much for bulls to push price here. So it's really interesting that on just 900 million in liquidations, price was able to push from around the 34, 35 level, almost right under 40,000. Some people told me that on Binance it pushed to 49,000, which is absolutely absurd, but welcome to crypto where every single exchange is its own market. Next, Amazon plans to accept Bitcoin payments this year, claims insider. Sauces. Who is this source? Now, I did look up the reporter on this and he insists that he had a source, but nobody will name the source and we don't know how close the insider is. So I would take this story with a grain of salt. I do not think this is why price moved yesterday, by the way, but anonymous insider saying it. I mean, what job does this person have? Seems like it could be basically anything, but this is what the person purportedly said. This isn't just going through the motions to set up cryptocurrency payment solutions at some point in the future. This is a full-on, well-discussed, integral part of the future mechanism of how Amazon will work, the source told City AM, according to a report published on Sunday. The source indicated that while Bitcoin is the first step in Amazon's crypto ambitions, executives at the company were keen to add other established cryptocurrencies in the future. This directive is coming from the very top, referring to Jeff Bezos, they said, adding, this entire project is pretty much ready to roll. Once again, I am not convinced, grain of salt, but if this is true, this would be 100 times, 1,000 times bigger than anything Tesla ever announced and would be the catalyst for an absolute massive move to the upside by Bitcoin. So it'll be worth watching for confirmation that this potentially fake story is true. Binance US is eyeing an IPO, says Changpeng Zhao. CZ saying that Binance US, following the footsteps of Coinbase, will be looking to potentially IPO or have a direct listing like Coinbase did. Coinbase did not have an IPO. As you know, they had a direct listing. We know that Binance US unfortunately ousted Catherine Coley, one of our favorite people in the crypto space, who has not been heard from, unfortunately, and replaced her with Brian Brooks, who's a Wall Street insider. So very likely that the reason they did that was to get clarity on regulation towards the path towards an IPO. Interestingly, he also said that there's a chance that Binance itself could IPO down the road, and they're putting the structures in place to do that. Really important to note, Binance US is effectively a different company from Binance, so they are not that closely interrelated. Next, Binance says it's cutting leverage limit to 20x a day after FTX announces the same. We didn't want to make this a thingy. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao posted Monday on Twitter a week after making the change. I shared the thread by Sam Bankman-Fried. You should watch my podcast with him from last Thursday, by the way. I shared that thread on Twitter just yesterday saying to make the space more safe for new traders and effectively to start pushing towards more reasonable regulation, a lot of exchanges are now getting rid of extremely high leverage. You love to see it. I think this is absolutely great for retail. I know a lot of people say, hey, people should be able to do whatever they want with their money. But as Sam Bankman-Fried pointed out, anything above 20x was a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the business that FTX was doing. So this is really not a massive change for 99% of the people who are trading there, but this will protect some people from themselves. Early crypto mogul says China crackdown may lead to outright ban. Bobby Lee says Beijing may try to ban cryptocurrency holdings. Former exchange CEO still sees big long-term gains for Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, we see what direction China's moving in, and it ain't great, but that will remove more decentralization. But this is very sad for the Chinese people if something like this does happen down the road. But this is just one man giving his opinion. I do not believe that he's an insider or knows for a fact, but all eyes will continue to be on China. We know that they've banned mining. Will they eventually actually attempt to ban cryptocurrency? I don't think it's possible. I think that would work roughly as well as banning drugs in the United States, but we will see what happens. And in a lighter note, Vitalik Buterin joins cast of Stoner Cats, Mila Kunis' new animated NFT show. If you guys did not see it, there's a hilarious video online where Ashton Kutcher is asking Mila Kunis questions about blockchain and Bitcoin, and then he says, hey, baby, and he turns the camera, and it's Vitalik explaining Ethereum.
What's a Stoner Cat?
The greatest NFT ever made.
Got it. Hey, Vitalik, what's a Stoner Cat?
It's a cat that beats Scissor Cat but loses to Paper Cat.
Really interesting to see that the show is being funded by NFTs, and Ethereum's founder will voice a taxidermied cat named Cattington. Cattington Buterin has a really nice ring to it. Guys, it's really nice to be reporting some positive price action today. In the words of CC Pedestin, finally it has happened to me right in front of my face and I just cannot hide it. Right. Yeah. Had to sing some, 90s pop house music for you guys. So guys, that's it. Please check out everything I have going on in the description. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out Femex, who's still giving a $1,200 bonus for Bitcoin deposits over $1 Bitcoin. I will be live streaming today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a lot of fun because the market has finally turned in our favor. You guys definitely need to check that out. Until then, peace.